Hello everybody, we are here with your Woojer ADC guide. We're going to be starting off with our Death's Toll, as you are seeing now, pretty much all the time. Death's Toll is extremely good right now, and we are going to be going into our Berserker Shield here, so I'm going to grab myself a health pot and a multi-pot. The Death's Toll sustain really lets you get away with having less potions because of how crazy good it is right now. It is going to get a slight change in the upcoming patch, and it'll be a little bit less sustain heavy, but it'll still be a very good starter item. But it might even out a little bit more with the leather cowl again once it receives some of those nerfy nerfs. So it's gonna take it a minute though for that patch to come through and those to actually go live. So on our Woojer, we are going to be starting with our 1. This is also the ability that we are going to max out first. This is our Ricochet, and this is the bread and butter of Woojer. Right off the bat, with Woojer, it is way more beneficial to consistently land your 1 than to go for the Einstein brain ricochets, okay? Big brain ricochets are cool for sure, but it is way better to be consistently landing your 1. So instead of going for super spicy meatball ricochets, particularly in the early game, most of the time you're just gonna want to use good old regular ones right down the lane to clear the minions. You see a lot of times people going for these big spicy meatball ricochets like this, and then they miss them and they get less damage, and then they're down on their mana, they don't have their cooldowns up, all that stuff. You don't need to do anything spicy particularly early. Just focus on clearing that wave. At level 2, we're going to get our 3. This is our getaway skill. Our Kuzenbo is going to push right into the wall of the Athena, so I don't even have to worry about a spicy ricochet. I get that double tap, pop, pop, right off the bat because he pushed him right into the wall for me. Gonna grab my 1 again here at level 3, and then I'm gonna grab my 2 at level 4. After that, our level order is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3. Our ultimate, and our 1 for the damage, then our 2 because of this % damage increase that we get on the target for them missing health, and then finally our 3. This is our getaway skill. The only benefit we get from it is this increase in damage, so it's not that big of a deal. So Woojer right now isn't crazy favored in this meta. Right now, a lot of the hunters that are super meta are going to be the more 1v1 focused hunters, as well as those that tend to have really good lane clear. Right now, that makes you think of Anher and Danzaburrow and Apollo. Like, they're very good in the 1v1. A lot of potential there. Plus, they've got fairly simple abilities that will clear the wave quickly. Woojer is more of a team fight hunter, so his 1v1 tends not to be quite as good as some of those other hunters, although it's certainly not bad, especially in the late game, which is where Woojer is going to thrive.
Even in the shadows, I see you.
And also, his lane clear isn't that good. Ricochet is a great PvP ability. You saw earlier on the Athena, we got the double tap. Kuzenbo puts her towards the wall for me. So I got a really easy double tap, and it does a ton of damage. But when I'm using it to clear the wave, and I'm just kind of like regular ricocheting, it's not nearly as impressive. Now, Cern dash is down, so I'm actually going to dash in on this. And I'm going to turn around on the Athena, because she's right in front of me. I know her dash is down as well, and I'm just going to get as much poke as I possibly can. Maybe go for a little spicy ricochet over there in the corner. Still get a little bit of damage off. So when you're going for the spicy ricochets, that's going to be more in the PvP segment. You're not going to do a lot of spicy ricochets for the wave. When you're just doing the laning phase, you're just going to launch it right down the wave. But when you get some people back here, especially over in that little corner segment, you can try to look for some pretty big bounces. So I'm going to back right here, and I'm going to get myself my full boot. I'm actually going to get rid of this multi-pot. You can see I never even ended up using my health potion or my multi-potion because I just have so much sustain from the Death Toll. Death Toll is just a ridiculously good item right now for sustain. So Woojer is actually thriving in the late game because of the Hunter build right now. We're in a very big Hunter crit meta build. Woojer has one of the best or worst passives in the game, depending on the meta that you're in for Hunters, because Woojer can only be crit every 3 seconds. This means in the late game, when everybody's got their Fail Nut and their Wind Demons and their Deathbringers and their Rages and all of this stuff online, you actually become really hard to beat in a good Hunter 1v1 because they can only get one singular crit. Now in the early game, this passive is basically useless because ain't nobody critting you 5 minutes into the game. So somebody like an Andher who's got that passive pen is gonna decimate you in those early fights. But later on, we will become a lot more difficult to deal with. So for the Hunter builds, recently, a lot of the Hunter items were nerfed. There was a lot of doom and gloom. Oh, crit is dead. Oh, Hunter builds are dead. And what happened was absolutely nothing changed. As it turns out, really strong items are still really strong if you barely nerf them. So Berserker Shield and Fail Nut and Wind Demon and all of these items are still absolutely fantastic. And you can still continue to build them. Just a little bit of power here, a little bit of attack speed there, doesn't actually make those items bad. Especially when the end game build still has so much crit, still has so much penetration, and you just get a ridiculous amount of damage. So right now I'm gonna look for a little double tap, not gonna get it. I'm gonna go for a deep ulti onto the CERN. Doesn't quite get the kill, but it looks like the set is gonna be able to follow up on it. So right here, my standard combination on Woojer, which you can see me using over and over again. I'm throwing down the 2 on my lane opponent, and then I'm using my 1 through the melee creeps and making sure to poke him with it as well. So every time he walks up, 2-1 hits him with a little stun. When you have the Ricochet by itself, it is not a stun. When you have the Ricochet hit by somebody with the 2 on them, it is a stun. So I'm just walking up to him every single time and hitting him with that little love tap. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I'm gonna get my finger on my beads just in case the Nemesis continues to chase from me here. Doesn't look like she is, so I'm gonna be safe to just kind of waddle away. So that combination is gonna be 2-1 and then our ultimate. Now with Woojer ulti, in order to get a lot of value on this, you don't want to use it typically until after your opponent in the 1v1 has used their movement ability. So you do want to try to force them to use it first. So sometimes you're going to want to use your 2-1 and then jump in on them. Oftentimes when you jump in on your enemy target, that's a knock-up if they get hit by it. A lot of people do not want to get hit by that knock-up. And so a lot of times they will just try to run away. So right now there's an Athena coming my way. I'm just going to sit around inside of my own ultimate because I'm getting out so much damage from this. Unfortunately, not only is there an Athena here, there's also a Yanis ulti. And Lord knows I get hit by every Yanis ulti in the game, even when it gets yeeted from the solo way. So that is an unfortunate combination of Athena and Janitol right there. We're gonna grab ourselves our Berserker Shield and a couple of wards. To place out forward for us since we're playing so aggressive. And Berserker Shield because it's still ridiculously good for these early Hunter 1v1s.
That's too bad.
So stat-wise, this got nerfed. It lost a little bit of power. But you can see it still gives 40 power, 20 physical protections, 15% attack speed, 10% physical penetration. First of all, those are just flat out good stats. Second of all, if we drop below 40% HP, we're still going to get an extra 30 power, so it's 70 power and 35% attack speed. That is a disgustingly good item, and it scales so well into the late game because we get percent pen for our crit. It's just so good. There's no reason not to get it. There's just no reason. So at this stage of the game, I'm going to continue to look very aggressive for these 1v1s on Discern. Poke him down a little bit, jump right on top of him, and then after he dashes, try to hit him with the ulti if at all possible. Going to get myself out some deep wards, one up here by his purple, and one over here by the Gold Fury side. That's going to give me all the vision if I get ganked aggressively. Now, if I get ganked from underneath me, well, then I'm in trouble. But what are you gonna do? You only have so many wards that you can do. So I need to be just a little bit careful here. You can see the Nemesis come in, so I'm gonna go for this double tap right there on the Ricochet. Unfortunately, I tried to get my jump off, but I was stuck in my ultimate animation right there for just a little bit too long, and I do get ganked from the Nem from underneath. So you only can ward so many places. Right there, I get ganked from underneath. Normally, you're going to get ganked from up top in these situations, but you know, what are you going to do? For our third item, we're going to go right into a Fail Knot. Fail Knot is going to give us an additional 20% CDR. This is also another item that is going to have been nerfed in the small patch. So instead of the 20% crit chance, you actually only get 10% crit chance now from this item. But it gives you even more crit chance now from the passive. So this used to give 15 for 10 seconds. Now it gives 20% for 10 seconds. So it's actually only a crit loss of 5% after you have recently used your ultimate. So it's definitely worse in the crit department, just flat out, but it is way worse, but it is not nearly that bad when you have your ultimate online, which is really when the crit is going to matter the most. So there's nothing for me to really farm over here in dual lane, so I'm just gonna move over, see if those oracles are up. They're not. Head right back over to lane. Now they're probably gonna keep rotating on me over and over and over again this game. They've got the Janus, they've got the Athena. That's honestly okay. As long as I'm taking these fights and trying to trade out, it's really not gonna be that bad for us. That's a CERN beat. Now he's sticking around and fighting me, which makes me think that there's probably somebody coming eventually. There's the Athena ult. I know that his dash is down. I know that his beads are down. They have to Athena ulti over. They have to CERN ulti. Now there's a Nemesis coming over. She uses her ult. So they are using a whole lot right now just trying to acquire this kill. So, I mean, that's not a bad trade for me, you know? If they want to keep sending their entire team over left lane, that means my entire team is just taking all of their farm over in mid, taking all of their farm over in right, and this is gonna happen. A lot of times the enemies will simply choose a lane to camp. I would say most often this season it's going to be mid lane. So mid laners usually have to deal with this problem more than anybody else. But with the way that junglers get on rotations, they tend to have the same ganking opportunity over and over and over and over again because of their farm route before everything respawns again.
Enemy missing right.
So if you start getting ganked early by the jungler, there's a good chance that you are now the priority target, basically, for the rest of the game. And it's not anything personal. It's just like once you get on that farm rotation as jungle, you'll find that you're consistently in the same spot when all of your farm is down and you have an opportunity to actually get. So for my second active here, I'm going to be getting myself my Shell. Shell is such a good active right now, and if you look at their team comp, I'm getting ganked by the Nemesis. I've got the Cern that I'm 1v1ing. Shell is going to give me a ton of value out of those block stacks. Now, they're way behind my tower right here, so I'm going to just ulti right on top of this Janus. Try to stun in from getting out, but it looks like he might have actually beads to get through that in time, which was a smart play by him. We can keep chasing this out. Janus is going to go down anyway. I see the Nemesis is dashed away. I'm keeping my eyes out for the Cern. Don't exactly know where he is. Gonna stun the Athena for my team. Jump on top of him for that quick level knockup, and we should be able to finish that up with the Guan Yu and the Kuzenbo. We got 2 dead, 4 of us over here. Gold Fury is not a bad call, as long as we can get one of our tanks actually going for it. But we can actually see that both of our tanks are diving into the tier 2. So I can't really start the Gold Fury by myself. And now we need to be careful because they've got a Athena and a Janus on their team. So they can be back here instantaneously. If we would have come instantly for that Gold Fury, then we could have done it in time. But because they've got all of those global ults, we got to call it off and just play it safe, go back to lane. We still have a nice 3k lead, so there's no point to risk it and then have it get stolen by Janus ult, or the whole team shows up because they come through the portals and then the Athena ulti and all that good stuff. So one thing you're gonna notice in this build right now is a lack of lifesteal. So I am slowly but steadily, currently moving away from a lot of lifesteal items on hunters because of how effective the crit is in the late game and because of how strong the percent HP heal is on the ranked up death toll. So instead of going into something like a Aussie right now, which you can totally do, absolutely viable, Aussie stacks really, really well with crit because you get those extra increase in healing when you're low, then you get a big fat crit, so you get a big fat heal. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But as long as you put your head down in farm, you should be getting that 20 fairly quickly. And I like upgrading right now the Death Toll into the Death's Embrace. Gonna give you that 3% restore. And it basically opens up an item slot for you for having even more crit in your build right now. Hey, there's a Shell coming out from the Cernos. You can see the Hunter Shell action is very popular. Now I'm going to dash in on the Cern, throw down an ulti pretty deep there, and hopefully I can grab this kill before the Athena comes in. Quickly take that 1v1 fight. Now I'm going to throw down my Shell right now, give me some of those block stacks, kind of help me live through this as much as I can. Come right back down, and I need to keep running away because I'm about to get Janus. I need to do a little juke back, and I'm not going to be able to quite get away from the Janus, but we should be able to get a good pick off this. That was Janus ult down, Nem ult down, Cern ult down. That was a lot of things for the ADC, so hopefully we do get a good play off of that. Next up, I'm going to go right into the Wind Demon. Wind Demon, as expected. This item really did not see much of a nerf. It is still the exact same. Still going to give you that percent pen, all the movement speed, all the attack speed, and of course that crit chance that we so desperately desire. Huyi on our matchups, the things that we do not want to go against. We do not want to go against those characters that are going to pound us in the early game. So right off the top of the head, that's going to be Danza, and her and Apollo. Those three tend to push you under tower early, get you behind in farm, and then you have a harder time going into those fights. Although by the time you get to the team fight, Huyi should still be okay, but you can get really behind early. Another thing you do not want to go against on Huyi is a Wheelix. A Wheelix wrecks you. Your 3 is super easy to pull with a Wheelix. I mean, you are this giant sitting duck sitting in the air. So she will ruin your life from a jungler perspective. And finally, you do not want to go against cripples. Cripples in general, preventing you from using that jump And your jump is a very crucial skill on Hu Yi, because not only is it your getaway skill, it's also a very aggressive ability that lets you go into that knockup, which a lot of the times you can also use to land your one. Which brings up a good point. If you're not confident in landing your ricochets, then instead of doing the 2-1 into 3 combo, you can actually do the 2-3 into 1 combo. So hit him with the 2, jump right on top of him, that'll give him that little knockup, then follow up with the stun. The only problem with that is it's a lot easier for the enemy to avoid your 3 than it is for them to avoid your 1 when it's coming at them. So I prefer to just do the 2-1 because I'm confident that I'm going to hit it most of the time. But if you are not confident at all that you are going to hit it, feel free to go for the 2-3 into 1 because you'll have that small little knockup. It'll buy you some time. But me, on the other hand, I know the math, baby, so I don't mind going for those ricochets. So right there, my ricochet wasn't quite going to be able to reach the nemesis. So I used the extra ricochet angle right there in order to reach him. In general, I only go for those ricochets when I'm not going to be able to reach it otherwise, or if I have a really easy one to land, somebody is really close to a wall, you're going to go for the 2. You won't land on any spicy YouTube reel plays, but you will win more games just by going for those easier ricochets. So what do we like to go against on Hu Yi? Well, Hu Yi is a team fight based hunter. So he's looking at the whole team composition more than he's necessarily looking at his individual lane opponent. So we want to go against teams that do not have a lot of increases in their movement speed, because increases in their movement speed, slow immunities are going to let them get out of our ultimate really easy, right? So somebody like a Kukulkan is constantly going to have Slither Up, and he can walk right out of our ulti. So that can be quite annoying for us. So we're looking for guys that either have channeled movement abilities. Athena is actually really nice for us. We can ulti on top of her. We can interrupt her channel with our stun. We can interrupt it with our knockup. All of that is really nice. We like going against people with no getaway skill that have to sit in our ultimate. And then the most important thing on Hu Yi, even more so than the guys you're going against, is just paying attention to who has recently used their movement abilities. If somebody has recently used a movement ability and you throw that ulti down on top of them, they're going to be in a world of hurt. So on our back, we bought ourselves our Wind Demon, got to throw down a Sentry Ward here on the Gold Fury, and we got ourselves our Death's Embrace. Now I'm going to be utilizing my Death's Embrace as my only form of heals. I find that the 3% that you get from it is actually plenty. And so I have no issues with just using this as my one healing item. Another good sub-segment of gods that Hu Yi is good against is stealth gods. So your 2 gives you vision on whoever you're fighting. So if you're going against gods like Morrigan, like Loki, whatever, you're going to be able to see them in stealth, which is obviously very, very convenient. So they're just full diving into this. I'm going to turn around right here on this Kukulkan, and I got to try to jump out of this one. They've got too many people coming for your boy. I have to use my beads to stop that slow right there, but I get a lot of damage off and a lot of zoning with my ultimate. The team is still fighting. I'm going to use this camp right here for sustain. I'm not going to walk in range of the camp, but I'm still going to get the proc right here. So that way the camp stays alive, and I basically heal myself to full. And now I can go back into this one. So I'm going to try to jump onto this Janus. I get the vision on him so I can follow up with the Ricochet, and my crit will do the rest. And now I'm right back to full HP. Didn't need any real life steal items. All of that just from our Death's Embrace. Now that we've got 4 of them dead, we can run right on down the mid lane and go for some smacks. Now at this point, I do need to Shell online to tier 2 for those block stacks. The Nemesis is going to start wrecking me sooner than later here in the late game. So I need to make sure that I'm getting that online, and we're gonna go into our last item, which is going to be a Deathbringer. Now, if you earlier in the build went a Rage, that is also viable. So if I could have gone Berserker Shield into Ninja Tabi into Rage, and then done Rage, Fail Not, Wind Demon, I really like that build as well, just not so much on Woojer. On Woojer, I like the extra CDRs because of Fail Not. With my ricochets and all my abilities that Woojer really likes to utilize, I prefer that. But on some of the more auto attack based hunters, somebody like Rama comes to mind, you might want to go ahead and grab the Rage into Wind Demon Deathbringer right there. But for the Woojer, we want that CDR for sure. So I prefer the Fail Not, Wind Demon, and the Deathbringer. Now, the team is just absolutely wrecking right now. That's 4 people dead, so I'm just going to push up this mid-wave, and we should be able to put this one away. We've got the Fire Giant. I'm going to make sure the creeps are all up in here in this room so the Titan doesn't go on a killing spree and put us all down. Throw down my ulti right on that Titan. I've still got the shell if the team ends up needing it, but we should be all Gucci to put this one away. So for that last item there, that was going to be the Deathbringer. Give us even extra damage on our crits. In the very late stages of this game, the Cernanos had no opportunities to 1v1 me because his crit's only gonna proc that one time, and then I get that 3-second immunity. Meanwhile, me, an intellectual, will be going crit, 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 right onto his face. You're still gonna have 30% pen guys with the Berserker Shield, Fail Not, Wind Demon combo, so you're gonna burn through tanks, and as an added bonus, if the enemy does grab the Spectral Armor, the Deathbringer actually helps you burn through it a little bit more. Deathbringer increases the amount of damage that your crits are doing. Spectral Armor reduces it, so it kind of evens out a little bit. Same concept when you get a CAD Shield or a Rod of Asclepius to even out the anti-healing. Exact same idea, guys. So it still works really well in the comps that run a lot of Spectral Armors. And that is our Woojer ADC guide.